Okay. Okay. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. I finished the rest of After by Anna Todd, referred to me by More to Mary. I finished it. And I have to say that I do think it's angsty, and I can see how it could draw you back into reading. However, I honestly don't think it's worth the hype. You know, not for me. Not for me, at least. Um, it's got like a movie deal. Um, several of the books. I don't think it really deserved that. Nothing against Ann Todd. Nothing against her. Maybe, maybe the book represents our current climate, um, in our culture, in our relationships with youth. Maybe because it was so angsty, they felt like, oh, uh, this would really sell. But I can't really say too much of the book because I do think it'll spoil it, and I'm not. I'm not about that life. I ain't about that life. I don't like to spoil it. I like to give details. I like to be able to give you details that lead you to reading it, but I don't. I don't want to spoil the story. So, um, hmm, maybe she on purpose uh, built Tessa up so that we would kind of dislike her, or just be like, why Tessa? What Just looking at Tessa like I'm scratching my head, right? Um, and we have a heart, because I had a heart for Harden, and you kind of feel bad for him because of how he has taken his trauma. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, we all go through stuff. There's trauma. Now there's going through stuff, and then there's trauma. He, I do believe he went through something traumatic. I don't want to downplay that, but I don't think it warranted um, his response. That's bad character. How he actually responded to it. He had a neglectful father, um, who abused alcohol. However, um, and then his father abandoned him. However, his dad did take the steps to try to be back in his life. His dad made it to a chancellor over a college, which you just don't do that overnight. You don't just go from a raging alcoholic to just walking into being a chancellor, based off how she kind of described him, brawling in, bars and things like that. So I just couldn't see it. I couldn't kind of tie that together. And I honestly couldn't justify his choices based off the actual trauma he experienced. And then he had a lot of nightmares that disturbed him, um, every day, from one thing that happened to him when he was 7. And the level in which it disturbed him, it just didn't seem appropriate. Uh, and I'm a counselor by trade, and I actually work with trauma and severe and acute. And I would not. Uh, that's not something that you would see normal in a client, in my opinion, right? It had. I thought he had to go through some type of sexual abuse based off the way he was responding to trauma and the reckless decisions he made, coupled with the promiscuity and things like that. I literally was really looking for some type of sexual abuse, or I felt like it may have been some type of where he um, wasn't so much in touch with his sexuality, and maybe he dabbled with men as well as women, but what I got didn't tie into what he actually had going on. So that seemed weird to me, right? And then the great finale of, you know, everything. Just, it was big and I liked it, and it gave me all the feels, and it gave me all the angst, and it gave me all the drama, but I just did not understand. I couldn't tie it all together. So it just, and maybe it's me. Maybe I'm out of touch. Maybe I'm out of touch with people because I didn't get it. The other thing I'm going to say, which really, I don't understand why this book would get so much props or credibility, is because the time jumps. She was in college. She would just wake up one day, take a shower, sit around for a second, and then all of a sudden it was night. And I was like, and she did it several times. The author did it several times. The time never justified. Then she was in college and she would have certain classes certain days, but the author would make the same classes every day, 5 days a week. When I tell you, it was just ticking me off. And the author was like, oh, she got all these credit hours, she signed up for all these classes, but she only talked about 2 classes 5 days a week. Never any other classes. And then all she had to juggle. Then when she got the internship, it was the internship every day, 5 days a week, no other classes. This bothered me. This was a pet peeve of mine. I just don't like it. And it pulls me out the story when I read things like that. And then she did it was worse with Hardin. Hardin, honestly, he was in college. It seemed like he got good grades. They painted it like that. But he had this like high paying job. These are 18-year-olds, guys. 18-year-olds working for publishing companies, reviewing books at 18. And he was able to do that, plus all his partying, drinking, sexual escapades. It just didn't seem real. Kind of irritated me. So, I'm going to be honest. I don't think I'm going to be reading any more of this author. And I did start the second book just because the first book ended on such a climactic that you couldn't help but like go to the next book because it ended on such a climax. But I'm reading the second book and I'm like, oh, bitch, I'm not about to do this with you. The conflict in this story, in my opinion, is not justified. The trauma in the story is not justified. The time is not justified. And I don't like lazy authors. And anybody can write a story, guys, but I am looking for a certain intellectual prowess. I am looking for a certain humanity and an understanding of humanity and how things kind of tie together, behavior and consequence. And I like an author that kind of lays that down. Now, I have authors that do that and do a phenomenal job. Now, if you're going to make it fanciful angst, then just go all the way. Just go all the way with it. Go all the way with it. Don't pit pat around it, you know. So mm, it was a fast read. It was an enjoyable read. It wasn't my type of read. It wasn't my type of story because I needed to make sense for me. I needed to make sense. So let's see. If I was giving it stars, honestly, I would probably give it 3.5 stars. I wasn't mad at the buildup of their attraction. I wasn't mad at the whole opposites attract either. Um, I even wasn't mad at their explosive, argumentative, because I kind of felt like that could be real too. The problem is the justification of the decision making. I did not like that the characters were doormats. I did not like that. Um, and I did not like that Tessa really didn't have any female friends, and she just had these like male friends, and she you couldn't see her connect with anybody from her hometown except for her ex boyfriend, who she effed over, like I said, and they just made him like this complete doormat for what? Um, I did not like how they painted the mom. I just felt like the mom should have had other layers. So, yeah. Sounds like I don't like the book, huh? I liked it well enough. But it don't do it for me. It just doesn't do it for me. But it was not an absolute waste of time. It wasn't an absolute bad use of time. I just couldn't put it on that level where I'm like, ugh, like I don't have a book hangover. I'm like, next. Let's go to the next book. Let me find something else. However, Mary, I still love you. I still love you. And I get it. I get why you liked it. I get how it got you into some other books. Okay. Let's see what I'm going to read next. Maybe I should talk about my favorite authors who do it right, who knows how to do it. Or I could break down my qualifications of a good read, because I think that there's many layers to that as well. So let's see. Don't know. We'll see. Okay? All right. Bye-bye. 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 Bye-bye.